What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Tessa's TV show, and today, guys, we have our top 5 scariest urban legends because it is Halloween. So, starting things off, we have the murdered boyfriend. The story goes that a young woman and her boyfriend were driving home one night in the dark. Naturally, it was a quiet country road, and typically their car ran out of petrol. If they'd have been 21st century millennials, they could have pulled out their mobile phones, but sadly, we're talking back in the good old days, when only phones were at the house. The boyfriend realized there was only one thing to do: walk to find some assistance. Worried about his girlfriend's safety, he told her to stay in the car and wait for him. So he locked her in carefully, getting out to check and made sure the doors were secure before leaving. The woman did as he asked, waiting nervously in the car, trying not to notice the silent trees on either side or the pitch-black road ahead of her. She waited and waited and waited, but her boyfriend never returned. Just as she was about to get out and go after him, she noticed a figure at the driver's window. Breathing a sigh of relief, she turned, welcoming smile already in place. However, what she saw soon wiped the grin clean off her face. Instead of her boyfriend, a stranger stood at the window, staring in at her. The woman screamed, though was relieved to see the car doors were still locked. Slowly, the man moved closer, then started to raise his hand. She worried that it would be a hammer or something that could be used to smash the glass. Unfortunately for her, it was far worse. The man held aloft her boyfriend's decapitated head. She screamed, covered her eyes, and again checked the doors, which were thankfully still locked. But it wasn't over. The stranger raised his other hand and jangled the car keys in her direction. 2. The corpse at the carnival. So this one is actually a true story. The carnival arrived in town, which was always a cause for celebration among the local kids. On the opening night, they herded to the field, ready to stuff themselves with candy floss and try out all the rides. The funhouse was particularly alluring, with its usual colorful models and noises. The children were especially amazed by the fake mummy, which lay in a coffin. They took turns prodding it, daring to touch its face and hands. Suddenly, one of the kids began to cry and ran out of the funhouse, terrified. His friends asked what was the matter, and he replied, "That wasn't a fake mummy. That was a real dead body." The others laughed, thinking he was just being over-imaginative and babyish. The kid went home and told his mother, who was concerned by his description of the mummy, and called the police. The police investigated, and you know what? Turns out the kid was right. The carnival had been exhibiting a dead body all along. This urban legend is actually based on truth. In 1976, a film crew were using a carnival as a backdrop and moved one of the props, a supposedly fake hanging man. An arm fell off, which revealed that this man certainly wasn't fake. Story 3. The Licker. This one's pretty well known. If you don't know it, I'd be shocked by now. The story goes that a teenage girl was given a dog by her parents to keep her amused, not to mention provide company while they were out of town. She loved the dog so much that she let it sleep under her bed, where it would occasionally lick her fingers when she reached down. One night her parents were away and the girl went to bed as usual, saying goodnight to her dog as he curled up on the cushion under the bed. She nodded off, then woke up at some point in the night, startled by a dripping noise coming from somewhere in her house. Like any rational person, the girl presumed she left the tap running and got up to turn it off. She returned, settled back against the mattress, and dropped her hand to pet her dog. Soon she felt the familiar wet warmth of his tongue against her fingers. In fact, the dog seemed more eager than usual, licking at her every time her hand slipped off the bed. Suddenly, she realized she could hear dripping again. Once more, she clambered out of bed, went to the bathroom, and pulled the sink tap tightly, even though no water seemed to be coming from it. The girl returned, climbed back into bed, and let her dog lick her hand again. Only a few minutes later, she was aware of the dripping again. The girl was now freaking out. She knew that the taps in the bathroom were fine, so what the hell was causing that noise? Standing up, she strained her ears to identify where the sound was coming from. Then she realized the dripping was coming from inside her cupboard. The girl pulled open the cupboard doors, not expecting to see anything. Instead, she was horrified to see her dog hanging by the neck, throat slashed, blood dripping to the floor. There was a note around his collar with big printed words upon it which read, "Humans can lick too." Story number 4. The Roommates. According to legend, there were once 2 roommates at college who were studious, hardworking, and generally got great marks on their tests. They were also popular girls with lots of friends and enjoyed their time studying. One evening, they were both invited to come to a party. One of the roommates agreed to go. The other said that she was going to stay home and do some last-minute revisions on her exam she had for the following day. So the girl went to the party and had a blast, finally staggering back to her room around 2 in the morning. She didn't want to wake her roommate, so she tiptoed in without turning on the lights. She could just about make out her friend's shape lying on the mattress. There was a strange smell in the room, not to mention a disquieting stillness, but the girl was so drunk she didn't think too much about it. More than a little tired from all the partying, she passed out on her bed and awoke the next day. She turned to look at her roommate, who was turned away from her, still motionless in her bed. There was something about her that was just unsettling. The other girl sat up and rubbed her eyes and started to scream. Her roommate's sheets were drenched with blood, her throat violently slashed. In a wild panic, the girl leapt out of bed, turning her eyes from the horror of the sight in front of her. It was only then when she turned that she finally noticed the words above her head written in blood, which said, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights?" Story number 5. The Black-Eyed Kids. Children, they're not so scary, are they? Except in this case of the urban legend, they really are. This particular story has been going around since the 1990s and seems to have started by a journalist, Brian Bethel, who claimed his experience was true. According to Bethel, he was doing some shopping late one night then afterwards returned to drive home, as you do. As started the ignition, he suddenly noticed 2 children wearing hoodies knocking on his window. The children informed him that they were desperate to watch a movie but had forgotten their money and would he drive them back home, so they could get it. Bethel nearly agreed after all. It was a safe neighborhood and these were kids out late by themselves. Then he caught a look at their eyes. Rather than having a pupil or an iris, these children were completely black and featureless, and staring at him hungrily. Unsurprisingly, Bethel didn't give them a lift home, but instead wisely chose to get the heck out of there. Oh look, someone can make a smart decision in a scary story. But those are 5 of the scariest urban legends that I pulled up on the interwebs. As always, like, subscribe, and hit the little bell icon to never miss an upload. Let me know some scary stories in the comment section down below, and happy Halloween, guys! Bye!